Hey, this is Sam Black with Mono White Soldiers in Legacy. I'm on the draw with a hand that looks pretty remarkably good. I'm going to keep it. If I was on the play, I would plan to turn one Suppression Field. On the draw, I think that I should probably just turn one Preeminent Captain, but we'll see what my opponent does. Alright. Basic Island, since his Divining Top was the perfect line to encourage turn 1 Suppression Field, as it both answers the top and likely makes it difficult for my opponent to get another color of mana online. So I'm going to play a Chrome Mox and imprint even Mind Sensor. And I suspect that my opponent is not playing Daze. And I think all three of these cards are really good to have in my hand together in particular, so I'm not going to play the other Chrome Mox before playing the Suppression Field. And my opponent had a Force of Will. I have to cast Preeminent Captain this turn, and I have to exile something to do it. So I have to decide if I want to get rid of Captain of the Watch or Enlistment Officer. And against a deck that has presumably Terminus, I think Enlistment Officer is a lot better than Captain of the Watch. So I'm going to play Chrome Mox, imprint in Captain and Captain of the Watch, and cast Preeminent Captain. And this presumably is getting swords. The best thing I could draw would be Cavern of Souls. Wasteland will do. Come on, soldiers. I hit 1. Not that great. Alright, well, let's attack. Let's try to enlist some more soldiers. Ooh, 2 this time with another officer. Get to keep the chain going. it's not super clear to me when I've overcommitted versus how much pressure I should be putting on my opponent. Fortunately, I drew Thalia, which lets me both apply very relevant extra pressure in the form of putting my opponent on a two-turn clock while disrupting my opponent and not overextending because of Crocus. And there's Terminus, so I will force my opponent to pay an extra mana and then save my Thalia. Unfortunately, I don't think this deck has any way to shuffle to get those enlistment officers back into position. That's not bad, I suppose. Let's kill this. Okay. I assume my opponent's just going to activate top if I pass priority. Alright, so I have 6 mana to work with. I want to play Thalia, I want to keep Crocus untapped, which means I have 5 mana to work with and 3 left. So I'm just going to play Longbow Archer. I want more of a clock than just Thalia, and that's what works for my mana. And I don't mind tapping Ancient Tomb because I'm at 22 against a deck that's not really pressuring my life total. If my opponent had like Force of Willed Thalia, then I would have cast Enlistment Officer because Crocus wouldn't be important and it's more mana efficient. I might as well just start by attacking. Swords the Longbow Archer. I accept your terms. Now, I wouldn't mind getting the Enlistment Officer into play, but I think it is better to cast Chalice the Void for 1. Alright, so I'll attack my opponent to 8. And then I'm going to cast Enlistment Officer because, like Gustcloak Savior, it creates a 2-turn clock, but I care more about resolving it than resolving Gustcloak Savior, so I want to play it while my opponent's tapped out. I hit a pair of Preeminent Captains. Just attack with these things, and I don't think there's any reason to play any other creatures. Here, of course, I will save Thalia. And another officer on the bottom of my deck. It's a lot of Thalia. Alright, we'll cast one of them. And I'll cast a Preeminent Captain. I'll go to attack. And both of these will attack my opponent. And I'm going to pass on the trigger because I suspect I'm getting Terminused here. I'm a little torn on the issue of whether I should save this Thalia, but I guess there's really no reason not to. So ordinarily I would want to avoid playing Thalia while it is vulnerable when I have Caracas, but since I have all these extra Thalias, I don't really care if my opponent finds a way to deal with this one. Force of Will. It is gone. Now I'll play... Really doesn't matter much. I guess I'll play Preeminent Captain. Since I don't have Caracas to protect Thalia, might as well play the threat that doesn't get better later. Most likely either one is just getting bounced by Jace. Alright, so let's lead with Thalia. Resolved. Now I'll play a captain. Need to have 2 threats in play to stop Jace from saving him. Alright, that was an interesting game. Basically felt like I was in control the whole time, which is good. As for the sideboard, Dawnbringer Charioteer is obviously horrible. Even Cloud Chaser, I can put it into play and it kills Counterbalance, but Counterbalance isn't particularly great against me. And my opponent saw a lot of cards without playing it, but I assume that it is in my opponent's deck. This might be better than Gust Cloak Savior, which doesn't do anything in particular. Let's start by making that swap, and I can always cut the Cloud Chaser later. Oblivion Ring does answer some potentially problematic permanents, like Jace, or if my opponent has something like Moat, which I doubt. Oblivion Ring would be a good answer to it. Rest in Peace stops Dig Through Time, but I don't think it's worth it. Captain the Watch is actually very bad against Terminus. I don't think I need that. I think shutting down Null Rod is... no. I was going to say shutting down top is worth bringing in Null Rod, but then I remembered that I have Chrome Mox, and I don't think I want to go there. I'm going to bring in Oblivion Ring. And this is probably a little too threat light, so I'll leave the 2 captains in. I don't want my enlistment officers to start missing or anything. Longbow Archer isn't great, but it's a cheap random threat. Seems fine. Thorn of Amethyst is interesting. I think it's just not high impact enough to bother with. So I guess this is the deck I'm going to present. Alright, so I'm on the draw with a hand that can't cast any spells, and also I noticed that it has Commander Isha in it, which is probably a card I could have cited out. So anyway, I'm going to mulligan, of course. And now my hand is great. I even have a Chrome Mox to use this Commander Isha. I guess Commander Isha has the benefit of being a legend, which is actually pretty nice here. Anyway, I definitely don't want to expose Thalia to his Sword Splashers, so I don't want to cast it this turn, so I can't cast anything. So I'm just going to play... doesn't really matter. Cavern of Souls, Soldier, and pass the turn. Then next turn I can play Thalia with Caracas up. Alright, Commander Isha, while I appreciate your legendary status, I think my Crocus is going to be busy saving Thalia, so you're going to get no Mox. One thing I could do is I could hope that my opponent does something like end of turn Brainstorm Polluted Delta and then flash in Mind Sensor. But I'm going to hope to have the opportunity to do something like that later and just play Thalia now. Alright, my opponent successfully unsummoned my Thalia. Part of the problem with the Mind Sensor line is that my opponent could just potentially counter the Mind Sensor. If this were a soldier, I would be on the try to blow up a Flooded Strand plan, but as is, I'm just going to Thalia again. Well, I guess that deals with the counterability problem. Alright. I will play this and name Wizard. Don't know if I have any other wizards in my deck, but I assume I don't, since they're all soldiers. Yeah. Maybe Bird was better in case I have a Bird soldier that I could have played, like Commander Isha, so that I could make two different soldiers uncounterable in one turn. But I'm pretty sure there's only one Commander Isha. I guess the Cloud Chaser Eagle is probably also a bird. Yeah, I should have named Bird instead of Wizard. I'm extremely flooded this game. I have basically no threats. but I'm not really sure that my opponent can beat bouncing uncounterable Thalia. I mean, obviously, double swords. My opponent's already thrown away our swords. I mean, it's certainly beatable. It just might be enough of a problem that it gives me time to find more threats. Definitely don't think I'm in a bad spot in this game at this point. Yep. So my plan had previously been to hold off on Mind Sensor until I could blow up a shuffle, but flashing it in to blow up a Jace sounds good too. I'm just going to play it in a turn and attack Jace with both my creatures. Also good. Might as well put this into play. But I don't need to tap it to play a Chalice for 1, which is what I want to do. Alright, now most instant speed answers to Thalia are turned off. Which is going to make it much harder to ever kill. So that's good for me. So I'm still in a spot where I have remarkably little going on, and if my opponent has some kind of major threat, it will kill me. But if my opponent's all reactive, it's going to be hard for my opponent to get out of this. I don't think I want to turn on a counter spell, so I'm just going to wait to play the Captain until I can do it with the Cavern. Since I don't really seem to be under any pressure. I guess Entreat the Angels is the card that can just kill me. Yeah, that's what my opponent's looking for, is a big Entreat. Or that. That's going to be a huge problem. This is a spot where I'm glad I boarded an Oblivion Ring. And I wish I had Captain of the Watch to try to overwhelm this thing. I guess I need to save Thalia. interesting, killing this instead of the chalice. I definitely can't afford to play Chalice on 2 or 3 because I need to be able to cast Thalia and Oblivion Ring. I think the only reasonable number to Chalice for at this point for my second Chalice is 6, but 12 is a lot of mana. I'm not likely to win this game. Even if I do find an Oblivion Ring, it is likely that my opponent can just counter it. Able to play 2 uncounterable soldiers in 1 turn if I draw another. Soldier. Enlistment officer, I guess, specifically. Or any plus Thalia. Oh, this thing looks pretty stupid. I'd say there's no reason to play it because my opponent's gonna bounce it and kill me with Baneslayer, but I actually like showing my opponent that I have it because I'm going to board it out since I still haven't seen any enchantments, and I would like to encourage my opponent to not have any enchantments in their deck, having seen this thing. Alright. Now I know. Baneslayer is the real threat. Which makes this Commander Isha that I was unexcited about seem a little better. Yeah, So Captain of the Watch, how you doing? Let's just accept that I'm not really a beatdown deck here. I'm just kind of trying to play a long game and not lose to Baneslayer and cut my meaningless early pressure for more high impact cards. Alright, that'll do. Now I'm on the play. Let's hope I can just lock my opponent out with a early suppression field, or maybe a chalice that blows up some card draw. This hand doesn't do anything. This hand does things awkwardly, but I will keep it. I'm gonna play. I guess I could City of Traders Chalice and then Plains Preeminent Captain and hope Preeminent Captain lets me do everything else. It actually seems kind of reasonable. The alternative is Plains City of Traders Chalice, then Preeminent Captain, which lets me play Commander Isha if I draw another land, but doesn't really do anything for me in the future since City of Traders will still be dead. So I think this hand just wants to be explosive. Especially since turn 1 Chalice the Void is so much better than turn 2 Chalice the Void. No Force of Will. Excellent. The Chalice makes it likely that the Preeminent Captain will live, and that will be great. Clearly I have to cast Preeminent Captain here rather than Suppression Field. But if I draw another land, I can play the field. Alright, boom booms. Please no Terminus. Chalice the Void for 1 locks out Library Manipulation, so we just need to hope there's no lucky Terminus on top. Alright, so I'm currently attacking for 3, 6, 12. Commander Isha's lethal. That is a good draw.